everyone, Gabby here, and welcome to another card video on my YouTube channel and blog. I'm going to be making that card that I just showed today, and I'm going to go through all of the steps for that. And I'm using some Lawn Fawn stamps and some really cool products from Chibitronics. And we're going to start by using the Octopi My Heart stamp set from Lawn Fawn, and I'm also using the Mermaid for You stamp set from Lawn Fawn. So I'm going to speed up here in just a second so we can get through all of this. And the first thing I did was I stamped out all of my images, and I wasn't sure how many I was going to need, so I kind of went a little overboard and stamped a bunch of everything. And I didn't use all of these, but again, I would rather have too many images than not enough and have to go back and stamp when I already had all my supplies out. So I'm doing some of the images from Mermaid for You. I'm doing a lot of the sea plants there, and I stamped some of those in dye inks just to do solid colors because I felt like it made it a little easier. And I also stamped some fish. So I'm going through this and I'm coloring with my Copic Chows, and I'm not going to show all of the coloring because this video is more about the effects that I use with the Chibitronics products and not so much about the coloring, but I'm just doing regular Copic coloring, nothing super fancy. And now that all my images are colored, we're going to start on the next part of actually putting together the card. And as you can see there, I only colored 2 of the octopi. I didn't need all 4 of them. So I'm going to be using these Spellbinders nesting heart dies and some vellum paper and some red cardstock. So I wanted this to be sort of like a window. So I'm going to do a frame with the largest heart and the next size right under it. And I'm going to cut out my vellum first using the biggest heart die, because that's going to be the same size as the frame itself, but it's going to be glued to the back, so you won't be able to see the entire thing. And then I'm going to do a frame in the red cardstock. And as you can see there, I had to cut it twice because the first one I did wasn't quite centered. And I'm going to save those extra pieces to probably use in another card later on. So now I'm going to put those back, and this is actually a Valentine for my husband, but he's not going to be surprised now because he already saw all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and glue, and I'm using my Ranger multi-matte medium there, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this to the frame right there on the back side, and that's how it'll look from the front. And then the next thing I want to do is color my background a little bit, which you'll sort of be able to see through that window. So I'm using some distress inks here. I'm using peacock feathers and salty ocean. And I'm just using one of my clarity stamp brushes to go ahead and do the background here to make it a really nice soft color. And I wanted you to sort of like have like that like ocean type feel, so I'm using like those colors. So I decided to turn this card into a landscape card, and I'm going to use the same red cardstock there and cut a window out the same size as the inside of the frame. So now I'm going to do my sentiment, which is on the front, and I'm going to use the You Octopi My Heart that's in that stamp set, and I'm just using some Versamark ink there, some white embossing powder, and I'm going to heat emboss that, which I thought it was a really nice, like, crisp look with the red cardstock and then the white embossing on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that all done. And the next thing is I want to cut out all of my stamped images now. And I did not have dies for these stamps, so I'm just going to use my scan and cut to do them. And in real time, this took me 5.5 minutes, just in case you're wondering. I still think that this was a great thing to have because it makes it so easy when you're doing a bunch of images like this. And again, if you don't have the dies, you don't have to fussy cut everything. You can just have it cut all of your images out for you. So I'm always like so surprised whenever I use it. It works so well, and it does all of the images like so cleanly and so quickly. The only thing that was different here was my fish. Apparently it picks up the images that are so small. They cut a couple of them out individually, but it was fine. The rest of them got cut out together. So Now I'm going to peel these off of my mat and kind of set them all down. And as you can see, like, they just pop right out. And I got a bunch of images now that I can save, and they're already colored for use at a later time. So I'm always really happy about that too. So now I'm going to start actually putting my card together and seeing where everything's going to go. So I decided that on the outside of my card, this little octopus was going to be a lady, and I was going to put a little bow on her, and then I decided to fussy cut her tentacles apart because I wanted to set a little heart inside, like she's kind of holding a little heart there. So that's me doing that. And then I'm going to glue all of that together, and yeah, that's me kind of just like figuring out where it's going to go. I'm going to glue all of that together, and then I'm also going to put a little bow on her on the top of her head, and I'm going to use another one of those bows for the male octopus back there. So I wanted to go ahead and adhere her to this window, and I wanted her to sit right down in the center because one of the lights that I'm going to use I know is going to sit right behind her, and so I want a lot of the tape and things to be hidden. So now I'm setting all of these guys in here to see how they fit, making sure I like where everything is, and then like I said, adding his little bow tie. All right, and then later I'm going to add a little heart to him too because I decided I wanted him to have one as well as the lady octopus to have one. So here I'm using some Glad Press and Seal because I have all of my die cuts kind of where I want them, and I don't want to rearrange them. So I'm grabbing them all with a little piece of Press and Seal and making sure that they're going to stay at least close to where I have them laid out now, because I like how they look through the frame. I am going to change this up a little, but that's a nice way to keep all of your die cuts together. So now we're going to start actually building the circuit for this, and I'm using the effects pack, and I'm using some of the white lights, some copper tape, and one of the regular 3-volt batteries. So again, like I said there, I wanted to have a light sit behind her. So now as I'm building this circuit, I'm trying to make sure that I hide as much of the copper tape as I can around the outside of the heart window. So you can see there that I drew a little shape of the heart in there. I traced it so I'd know exactly where you'd be able to see and where things would be hidden, also based on where I knew my die cuts were going to sit. So this circuit didn't take that long to build. It was pretty straightforward. And like I said, I'm using one of the effects from the effects pack because I wanted them to have little synchronized heartbeats for this. I thought that'd be super cute and really fun. So that's what I'm doing right there. That's what you see. The extra piece that I have is the heartbeat effect. So I'm going back in now and I'm erasing where I traced that heart in. And this is the template that I used to build this circuit. It's on the Chibitronics website. It's super easy to follow. So now I'm kind of ready to start putting all this together. And you can see I added a couple things to my card. And this pack also comes with a blink, a fade, and I believe a twinkle. So you get 4 effects. And that's how the heartbeat effect looks right there. And that's me just kind of checking to make sure that everything looks the way I want it to look. And I wanted to slow it down so you guys could actually see it, and it doesn't look like a frenzied pace. So I'm satisfied with that, and I'm going to start putting everything together and really building up my card now. So I kind of did a little bit of checking here and there to make sure things were actually sitting where I wanted them to go. And then now I'm adhering all the things that I'm putting inside of there. And so now I just am going to peel off the release paper from the foam tape that I originally put on as the sort of the little well that everything was going to sit in. And now I've adhered the front of the card. So the last thing I need to do is actually put something to indicate where you need to press for this to light up. So I ended up just using another little heart that I'd colored in and stamped. And so I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. And then now I'm going to put this on my card base, which I'm just using a regular 110-pound Nina Solar White card base. And I'm going to stick that on there. And then, of course, stamp my stamp on the back. And that is the completed card. As you can see, I'm pressing that just to make sure that everything's stuck really well. That's how it looks when you press it. You get the little boom, 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 boom heartbeat there. And that is your completed card. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it was easy to follow along, and I hope you make some really cool things with some Chibitronics products. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!